Okay, here I am, still in Vegas. Did anyone know I went to Vegas? Well, how did I start driving toy cars? It was about 12 years ago. I was just turned 30 and I was looking for a hobby to do outside that was at least outside, but did have a lot of physical activity. I remembered that Southport had a toy car track as a lad, and I dug it out. So about 12 years ago, and because my wife was probably going to divorce me due to the amount of World of Warcraft I was playing. I now drive for Kyosho, and I drive a two-wheel drive, which is their new RB7, and I've just recently bought a stadium truck, which is their RT6. So they're the cars I drive at the moment, an RB7 and an RT6. Don't currently have a four-wheel drive. My favourite car. I've not been doing it that long. I don't really get these retro guys. I don't really get your re-releases. That's just me. So I would go back to the first real RC car I had, which was a Team Associated RC10 B4. Everyone had with them. They were all awesome. We didn't change them from track to track. Gotta be the best car of all time. My biggest result or claim to fame? My biggest result has to have come this year when I made the National A final at the F3s, 4s and 5s competition at my home track in Southport in the pouring down rain. I was so happy. I was in the A, I got called onto the rostrum for the second round. That was just great. To be honest, I wasn't actually that bothered about the final I was in. I think I finished 9th and 10th, but definitely my biggest result of all time. My claim to fame probably happened in this building here, which is the Westgate Hotel in Las Vegas, where I've been attending the IOCC, where I was very lucky enough to be interviewed with Orlowski and Savoya and Jason Rona for the J Concepts update for the race. I think Reno just kept looking at me going, who's this guy? So that's that. So, the Extra Lap RC podcast, yeah. Some people might know I was involved in starting the Big Blue Tent, which has now moved into the State of RC podcast. We had a Facebook page, we had a Facebook group. There's a lot to get on, there's a lot to do, and I had some work issues the beginning of this year, and I actually just wasn't really enjoying it. So I just stopped. It's the kind of Aidan thing to do. If he doesn't want to do it, he just doesn't do it. So, and then about 3 months later, I thought, well, maybe if I just did a podcast and I didn't have a group and a page, then I might be able to do that. So I went back through the messages that people sent me when I left the Big Blue Tent podcast and looked for the people who said, well, if you're ever going to do this again, let me know. So I spoke to Joey, Adam, thank you Adam, Mark, Will White from Raceway 1, and said, maybe we can do something and we can be the second biggest podcast in the world after the Big Blue Tent State of RC one. So that's it, and we've done 2 episodes. I'm flying back from Vegas this morning and I will be recording another one to Tuesday. So hopefully that continues to go on, and just do a podcast, don't do anything else, just see if people like listening to my voice talk about my views of RC, trying to keep it positive, trying to keep to a point, and just trying to add something. You know, we are really lucky in the UK. We've got some, I think the phrase is content providers. We've got some great things. We've got the State of RC, we've got Raceway 1, we've got Over the Loop, we've got the 300 podcast. We should support these. So that's it. I enjoyed the Big Blue Tent. It just got a bit too much. And then maybe if I just do a podcast, then we might be able to keep that going. Okay? Thank you. Okay, turf wars at Southport. Well, one time we came with the crazy idea of running Astro indoors. It is literally the worst idea in the world. It is the heaviest thing in the world, but Southport don't do the easy job. We try and do the best job. We run on, people say funny tyres, we run on Schumacher yellow blocks. We see that indoor racing, people complain about tyre wear and things, and to be honest, I'm not too bothered. You pay your money, you take your chances. No one forces you to put another set of tyres on. If that's what you want to feel like you need to do, then you do. So, but with Southport, we've actually tried to address this in a way, rather than just sit there and moan about tyre cost. What we've done is we found a surface and a tyre that lasts a day. Even our quick guys, when last year we'd have Crompton or Kevley would come down, they would simply say a set of yellow blocks lasts them the entire day. And our old guys would run a set of blocks for 4 weeks. I would generally run a set of blocks for 2 weeks, on one on a point scoring day and one on a club day. We're actually doing things to have a control tyre. Having a block makes it a very easy control tyre. You can tell from a mile away whether it's a block or not. I was speaking just before this to Mark Anthony Jones, who has put his car into the A final at Southport indoors twice for the 2 rounds of turf wars, and has used the same set of blocks. So we have a surface of Astro. It's very heavy. No one else do indoor Astro. It's ridiculous. But because we've got that, we run a Schumacher block, which one of our members just out of the blue figured out worked a couple of years ago. And we do that, and we don't change, because it works. The quick lads can use one a week, the old fellas can use one set for a season, and people like me could maybe get a set to run maybe 1 or 2 weeks. That's our surface. Astro indoors on Schumacher yellow blocks. Thank you very much, Schumacher. We have to tell them, give them plenty of warning, because if we change the carpet, we'd need to tell them, because they'll probably stop making blocks. Will we see a national at Southport 2019? Well, due to timings, the answer to that question is no. We've just found out yesterday that we weren't successful on our application. I did ask Adam to see whether I could not answer this question, because I always like to be the nice, positive person. But it's really quite hard. It really is. Southport, I believe, is the best track we have in the UK. Without a doubt. I will argue that with anybody. With the amount of time and effort that we spend on our track, and then we see other tracks, who get nationals, who don't look anything or drive anything like the surface that we have, it's very disheartening for us, for me personally, and our club, and probably our regional rep. I understand the rules. The rules are that the regional reps vote, and that's maybe our issue. Maybe that's my fault. Maybe the fact that we get feedback from racers who says, oh my God, this is amazing. Our cars aren't, I say this, your car is not going to go as fast anywhere else than at Southport. Alex Carter said our straight might not be the longest, Boughton's might be, but it's a pretty thing, and ours is billiard table flat. So currently the way the system works, and remember we're very lucky in our lives that we don't have to have any issues with how our national series works, that the tracks are voted by the regional reps. So I'm going to have to take personal responsibility for Southport not holding a national, because everyone comes up and tells us this is amazing, this is great. They're all astounded at the 3s, 4s and 5s that we actually got a meeting on. The BRCA were telling us that they've never seen so much rainfall, and they've never seen so many people get their hands in buckets and hoovers and pumps to make sure we had a meeting on. And still after all that, the regional reps who make the decision weren't happy and voted for other clubs. I will personally make this my responsibility in 2019 to speak to all of the regional reps to find out what we're doing wrong. Maybe it's just our location. I did speak to Tommy Tansley, and Tommy Tansley summed it up this way: turkeys don't vote for Christmas. Really? 2 or 4 wheel drive? Have you never met me, spoken to me? 2 wheel drive all the way. Astra or carpet? These thumbs don't know the difference. I prefer a surface with a bit of grip. If that's a question of do I prefer indoors versus outdoors, I would definitely, like all sane people in the UK, say outdoors is better. But I don't want to sit round in the rain and the mud. So at a certain point, we all have to go indoors. I'm not a big fan of our own indoors because we feel a bit of pressure getting it set up and asking people for help and all the things that people who actually run clubs feel like. I love other people's indoors because I just turn up and I just put my feet up. I love going to Bury Metro. It's a great event. Lovely people. Wind Neil Burgess up constantly about his track not being the right size and how he's got the race settings wrong. So, Astra or carpet, don't care. Indoors, outdoors, outdoors. because I get a lot of hassle being indoors, unless it's other people's indoors, and then I quite like that. Well, clearly, it doesn't look very orangey, but as I'm a good Evertonian, and that's a football reference for 90% of the RC guys, I'm never going to answer the other colour, so it's orange.